Hello and welcome to this video series where we're looking at making a steampunk exosuit. If you saw the last part, you'll know that I got to this stage where I got the sort of basic arm movement working. So there's one piston on the arm that allows up and down motion, and we've got a Lazy Susan bearing which allows me to move my arm back and forth. So I'm going to continue building additional pieces for this now. The first thing I needed to do was to find a way of having the piston being able to have a full 360 degree motion. The arm just goes up and down, but obviously the shoulder can move in any sort of orientation that it wants to. So I need to come up with a way of allowing the pistons to move freely so they don't inhibit me as I move. So what I'm doing here is just cutting out some blocks of wood that will allow me to attach the pillow block bearings. The pillow block bearings are the things that are holding the piston in place there. What I'm now doing is drilling a hole into the back of this, and that's going to allow me to put another bearing on the underside so that the block can move left and right. So putting that all together, that gives me a block that can move left and right and a piston that can move up and down. So as you can see, I've now got something that can move left, right, up and down and give me quite a wide range of motion. I've also been giving some thought as to what the back of the piece would look like, and I need some form of sort of steam engine on the back of it, something that looks like it could power all of these pistons. So what I've done is gone down to Wix and raided the guttering section, and I'm not quite sure what this is. It's some form of piece of guttering pipe, but it looks suitably mechanical and it should look quite nice once it's all painted up. So I'm cutting out some pieces of wood here just to give it some sort of mounting blocks. I've also cut out this piece of wood here. This is going to form a mounting bracket for one of the pistons. So I'm taking one of my blocks I've just created and putting that on the piece of doweling there, and that will allow me to mount a piston behind my head that will attach to my shoulder. As you can see, the majority of this is just made out of wood. My basic idea here is just to get the whole thing working, and then I can make it pretty later on. So I'm cutting out just pieces of wood into shape, and what I'm going to be doing is covering them in sheets of styrene plastic later on so I get a nice smooth finish. So there's a basic shape of the backpack done. Of course I'll be dressing this all up with brass pipes and various gadgets and gizmos to make it look a little bit more like a steam engine. So the next thing I need to do is to actually attach all of this stuff to me. So this is my box of sort of fastenings and bits and pieces, and I've got a bunch of brass buckles here which I'll be using. And what I'm using here is veg tan leather, so this is just a sheet of 2mm leather, and I'm just going to cut some straps out here. So that's how the buckle's going to look. Before I start attaching everything together though, I'm going to give the leather a little bit of detailing. So what I'm doing here is just brushing it down with some water. This makes the leather a little bit softer. And what I'm doing here is just scoring in some lines just to give a little bit of visual detail. All I'm using here is a thick sewing needle to do that. I'm just using some cap rivets here to hold everything together. I'll probably be taking this all apart again when I actually come to dye the leather, but for the time being I just need something that's going to be strong enough to hold everything together, so I'm going to put the rivets in for now and then I'll try and pull them out a bit later on. So I'm just punching the holes in here for the other end of the belt. I've done a fair bit of leather stuff, but as with everything I do, I'm no expert and this isn't necessarily the way to do it, it's just the way that I do it. But nevertheless I might actually do a fuller video looking at doing a bit of leather work in the future. Right, so there's my finished strap. So what does it look like once we put all these pieces together? Well, obviously we've come some way from the previous week, and as you can see now I've got about 4 or 5 different pistons attached here. Now it took quite a while to actually figure out the exact lengths and positioning of all of this stuff, but I'm quite pleased with the way this has come out. It doesn't actually inhibit my motion at all, and although when you pick it up it is quite heavy, because it's sort of distributed over my back and shoulder, it's actually quite comfortable to wear. Now there's obviously a little bit more to do on this. I've got the basic structure functioning. I might add 1 or 2 more pistons, I'm not quite sure yet. Not even sure if there'll be space necessarily. But once I've done that, I'll be pulling everything back apart, painting it all up and adding detailing. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Ingenious devices keep me alive in perpetual motion. These
Well, thanks very much for watching. I'll be posting more videos on this project and others, so please do subscribe if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on. You can also find out more on my website, which is www.thedarkpower.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Just search for The Dark Power. Perpetual motion, these ingenious devices filled with the steam from 1,000